On this episode of Behind a Sign podcast, importance of a well-engineered sign, sponsored by France Lighting Solutions. Hello and welcome to another Behind a Sign. Today we're going to talk to Charlotte Hearin from Elrod Engineering, and I'm Scott Kutcher, your host. This is hosted by France Lighting Solutions. So let's get into talking a little bit about things that people are so excited to talk about, right? The structure of a sign. Snoozeville, right? Now, it's very important. It's Snoozeville until you do a big sign that requires some engineering and you don't get engineering and it falls on a car. Then it's not, now it's exciting. Now it becomes like too exciting.
It's too exciting.
At that point, right?
Insurance is involved.
Yeah, a lot of insurance,
Yeah.
a lot of claims, a lot of angry people at that moment.
Pointing fingers.
Yeah, big
And
time.
then you're going to say, I should have called my engineer.
Right. Exactly. And as you can hear, we're at MSSA. This will air afterwards, and so everyone's setting up around us. But we had to take advantage of this opportunity of being together and do this podcast. So let's get in a little bit to, you're an outsider. You've been in, 2 years, right?
With Elrod for 2 years. Actually 4 years. Coming to these for 2 years, but in the sign industry for 6.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, it's interesting when someone comes into the industry, the perspective is so different, right? And so that's part of what we're going to talk about today. What's your perspective about the industry? You know, how important and when they should use engineering services like Elrod, and why you guys do what you do, and a little bit about your culture. That way people can understand how to utilize you, but most of it's going to be around your perception of the industry and why structure is so important and what you should look out for. Okay? All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about your background. You started off
Architecture degree. I'm from Louisiana. Was there. There's not a lot of building going on there. You know, I have a brother that lived in Nashville, and I couldn't count the cranes in the sky. And I was like, I need to be here. Moved to Nashville, found the big architecture firm that did the Batman building, you know, the dream job.
Right.
You know, go and then go get a graphic design job there. You know, I was going to do renderings, and then I realized I'm just a number, a tiny little speck in this huge place. So then I found the sign industry. I went and got a job at an interior signage company. They do some exterior signage, Signcraft in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. You know, I mean, to me at first it was just like another graphic design job. I was like, okay, you know, I did print for a while. I did renderings for a while. Now I'm going to do signs. Who knows what it'll be next?
Right.
You know, I thought it was just going to be one of those things, but I fell in love with it. And, you know, just being a graphic designer, I remember being charged with like drawing a monument sign one day.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, all right, you know, 3 foot tall brick base. And I remember like making a box in Adobe Illustrator and thinking, I don't know what's inside of this. You know, I mean, of course, we sent it off to engineering. We were working with Elrod Engineering at the time. I knew that the engineer would go through and, you know, make sense of it. But, you know, I'm drawing a brick base, and bricks are, you know, they don't really vary in size a whole lot. You need to be responsibly draw a brick base because it's going to change. And so that perspective was interesting as a graphic designer, drawing signage, sending it to engineering, knowing that, you know, can we really sell this accurately to our client? You know, then I got a job at Elrod doing graphic design there. And then I was able to do informed technical graphic design. We had a client that's like, I want a brick surround. I can take it, run over to the engineers and say, feasibly, how thick of a brick surround can you do around a sign cabinet? Right. You know, I don't want to sell 8 inches if it has to be 12.
Right.
So that experience going from an outside an engineering firm to inside an engineering firm doing signage graphic design has been enlightening. You know, and it's funny. It's like the drawings that we see, like sometimes you might sell something to your client that can't work.
Oh, yeah.
And people, I mean, and they're in a bind. You know, there's a big national program, and they sold a very specific look and feel to a big name client.
Yep.
And they bring it to engineering, and it can't, you know,
It can't go up
It can't go up.
because it's not structurally sound.
I mean, it's just something like that won't work
No, it
where they
won't.
want it, you know. So it's been an interesting road to travel doing graphic design and then ending up in an engineering firm. Yeah. And I mean, you were talking about sign failures. That's
Yeah.
something that we've been talking a lot about at my firm lately. We do sign structure inspections. We have a national client that we've been doing it for 30 years. I say we, our company.
Right.
They have been.
Right.
Holly and I inherited it. It's Holly actually champions the sign structure inspections.
Okay.
And we started a program with this one national client when they had a light arm fall into a parking lot in the middle of the night. I mean, and
Okay.
this is a store, like it's a store and restaurant. They're all over the United States. And they're known for, like, if you drive your RV, you can park your RV there at night. So like people stay there at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
there's a manager that walked into the store one morning, and this light arm from the sign, from the interstate sign, fell into the parking lot. And they were like, they called corporate, like, this is a big problem.
Yeah.
This is really lucky that this didn't happen during the day.
Right.
It didn't fall on anybody.
Right.
And you hear about sign failures and you see a brand name, someone's logo that has crushed a car.
That would be
And
bad.
sometimes there's a fatality.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that there's a big sign failure in this circle, there's always a buzz. Oh, did you hear about the
Right.
sign?
Such and such sign.
Yeah.
Done by so and so.
Done by so and so.
Yeah.
And I mean, people, you spend a lot of money on a big interstate sign
Right.
years ago, and nobody goes and looks at it.
Right.
Ever again. Hopefully it was engineered correctly in the
Right.
first place.
Yep.
But some of those things, like, think about the stretch of interstate that you drive every day.
Right.
You see the same big old interstate signs. How long have they been there?
Right.
Does anybody go up and look at them?
Right. Exactly.
So
Nope.
engineering in the first place is important. And then if you're reusing an existing sign structure, which
Yep.
happens all the time,
Yep.
economy's not great.
No.
You want to save money. Don't, you don't need to build a whole new sign. Maybe you bought a piece of property or your client bought a piece of property with an existing sign structure.
Right.
You want to be able to reuse that. You can work with your engineer to responsibly reuse that existing structure.
Right.
So
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
yeah, maybe
You know?
boring to some, but I'm passionate.
I
I'm
can
excited.
tell. I love, and that's why you're on here. It's great that you are. That's the whole point. Is when I was in the sign industry and had my own shop, one of the first electrical ones I did was a monument out front, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I've sunk so many 6x6s on the wood signs and all that. I've got this. I know how deep to go before the freeze line and all this. And I did it, and the pole was fine. What I didn't do is I didn't add the structure interiorly that needed. So if it had a high wind, so we had a huge high wind come flying through. We're in Tornado Alley in Ohio where we were, right? So that's where I was brought up. That's where my sign shop was. And so we're in Tornado Alley, and a tornado wasn't far, hit not far from us. Huge winds. I go out, and it's totally oil canned.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like twisted. And I go, oh my gosh. And of course, the client's like, I ain't claiming on my insurance. You should have built it better. And so it was a big mess. And from that time forward, I ended up talking to a friend of mine that was in engineering, but not in the sign industry. I said, man, I just don't understand. He's like, well, send me the drawings. So I sent the drawings. He's like, dude, you didn't put a 1/4-inch plate on the bottom. You didn't weld this in, and you didn't. And I'm like, oh. He's like, you got to have a sleeve, you literally should build a sleeve to go over top of the pole.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then you can tack weld to that sleeve if you need to in the field, or you can bolt to it with through bolts. And it's got to be this size because of tensile strength. So what the hell's tensile strength,
Well,
right?
now
It's
you
like,
know.
What the heck's tensile strength? And so he educated me.
Yeah.
And the next one didn't fail. As a matter of fact, we probably started over-engineering stuff, according to him. And he said, that's better than
under-engineering
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Or if you partner with an engineer and you're building a lot of the same sign,
Right.
that's a good, you could be over-engineering it. And you can bring your cabinet design, which you typically don't need sealed engineering for permitting for your cabinet drawings, but maybe the way that you're building your cabinet is over-engineered, and you could show it to an engineer, and maybe you could do a whole lot less,
Which means
and save some money.
Yeah, means that your profit margin. What a concept. We care about the bottom line margin. I mean, come on.
Yes.
I preach this constantly about how you have to not worry about the cost of the module and things like that, or cost about paint. You got to worry about durability, what it costs you to shoot it, right? If it's paint, what it costs to put in. So the cost to use it could be 10 times higher than the component itself.
Shipping.
So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing. You can over-engineer, and all of a sudden your bottom line margin can go from, okay, I was going to be at 20% or 12%, all the way down to like 3 or 5, and you're going, how come I'm not making that much money?
Yeah.
I'm doing all this work, right? So that's a really good point.
Streamline your designs for efficiency.
Great. That's probably why I'm out of business. I over-engineered everything, and now I know. No, actually, my background is why I'm not in that anymore is because of health issues. So I developed breathing issues and stuff over time.
I mean, it's hard to be in a shop.
Oh,
it's tough.
Well, and back then it was like, oh, you're sandblasting? Just put a beehive on. No big deal. You can breathe it all in. And I was an idiot. Went, okay.
You're fine.
For years. And then years later, I was like, what do you mean I'm allergic to catalyst and VOC's over, 4?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. How did this happen?
Yeah.
So, no, but you know what? At the end of the day, this industry is awesome. And here's what's great about it. I've been recycled. Like several times. The first time it was into distribution and LED specialist. And then, I just kept getting recycled until finally an opportunity said, you know what, if you're an independent rep with the knowledge you've built over these years and the fact you're still curious and you don't know everything, you're still wanting to learn more, which I'm learning some more today, right?
Me
it's
too.
like, just go and have some fun and help people build companies and rep some great businesses, right?
Well, they say if you're in the sign industry for 6 months, like how many times have you heard that? If you're in the sign industry for 6 months, like
you may be,
welcome. Yeah. You're never going to leave.
And then there's a tipping point at 5. 5 years, it's a sign mafia. We joke around and say, you are never leaving. You can't get out. You're in.
All right, so I'm 6 years in. So am I in?
You're
all right.
You are in.
I'm here for it.
You can't go anywhere.
It's so much fun.
You will be recycled even if, and I doubt they would ever get rid of you. I think you're a superstar. You're up and coming. I think the group that they have there is a superstar group.
I love people
Holly,
I work
all of them. They do such a good job.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this conversation, right? And you guys are on the move. You got an owner that allows you to flex and do like what you told me about him, right? He gives you enough string or enough, rope and says, go do you, and I'm not going to micromanage you. Here's the parameters.
We're a small
right?
company.
Yeah.
We've got 16 in our office in Smyrna, which,
okay.
I mean, Holly.
Smyrna, Tennessee.
Yes,
ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And, we have opportunities that we wouldn't at a bigger company. I referenced my first job in Nashville.
Right.
I would never get to do business development for that architecture firm, or I would have to wait forever and ever. But I mean, I've worked at Elrod for 4 years, and I'm 2 years in. Holly and I got the opportunity to come do this.
I think that's awesome.
And I mean, small companies.
Small
companies.
Oh, yeah. I think small companies have the ability in today's environment to make a bigger impact than the large companies do. The large companies have an ability to make the impact on a economical standard. Mm-hmm. But as far as enhancing the lives of others, plus helping others, small businesses, we have such a great advantage over everyone else. The key is knowing who we serve.
Right.
Right. At the end of the day, people are like, well, you serve a distributor. And I'm like, nope. They're my partner in serving the end user. Mm-hmm. Right. So knowing who you serve is critical. And then why they still need to be served. Right. So tell me a little bit about when is the ideal time for someone in the industry to go, okay, I need Elrod. Right. So give me a couple scenarios of when they, like a flag where they're doing something, they're designing something, they go, you know what? We need an engineering firm. Yeah. Like we need Elrod to help us figure this out so we don't over-engineer it, right? Things of that nature.
As soon as, if you're a sign shop, I think a good time to reach out to your engineer for a proposal.
Right.
Just a proposal is when the second you have completed drawings that you agree on with your client,
right,
and a location. The second that you have that, any sign engineer, you should be able to send them your drawing and where the sign is and ask for a request for proposal and timeline. And then that way you can know how much it's going to cost for engineering, how long it's going to take,
right,
and then you can budget for your client. You can pass that price off, that cost off to your client if you know beforehand. So I think the second that you know about the project, you can request a proposal, and then your engineer's going to appreciate the planning.
Right.
I mean, it's we hear all the time. People are panicking. I need this. This is already in permitting.
Right.
This is ready to go to construction, or it's already been built. And I've got somebody hot after my tail. I need sealed engineering drawings, and then it's a nightmare. And you're going to spend a lot more time and stress and lose a lot more sleep over it if you don't prepare. But and you know, there's busy seasons for sign engineering. Summer is really hot, and so like if you know.
Right.
Then that
Plan a
like
little bit.
so the second that you know of the project, you don't have to be ready to start
Right.
on engineering. Whenever you've got the concept in the air, or if you're trying to sell something to your client, you know, if they want an awning situation, an existing building.
Right.
You know, if you're questioning a little bit, reach out to your engineer. Ask, can it be done? Engineers can do feasibility checks all the time, and then they can arm you with information that can make you as a sign shop look really great to your client. Like, hey, you know, sell an idea that works.
Yeah, we did a feasibility study with our engineer. How impressive is that? Think about it.
Yeah.
With our engineer. They don't need to know it's a third party.
Yeah.
So we did a feasibility study with our engineer. This is what we see, and this is going to be the best kind of way to
Now,
build
like,
this.
this guy's legit. And like, if
Right,
your client
right.
is, I mean, you know, just like you might be putting bid out for different things, different vendors, you know, shopping around, your client's probably shopping around.
Right.
You're like, I want to go with this guy.
Because he knows his stuff.
He got a feasibility study done.
Right,
He
exactly.
knows that what he's going to sell me is going to work. So,
Exactly.
you know.
So in my world, the big thing is, especially programs, is prototyping. So that's something our firm does.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's the same deal, quite frankly. Is hey, let's prototype it. Make sure it's going to do what you want. Feasibility study. Let's make
Yeah.
sure it's going to hold the weight. It's going to do the things that you guys want to do, and it's going to be able to resist 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Yes.
Right. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just something you don't think about when you. And I think it's important for people to understand. That's why you're on here, right?
Yeah.
Is that hey, we're a partner. We're here to help you. You know, think of us as an extension of you.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, that's what you guys are.
I mean, you know, at Elrod Engineering, we love to not gatekeep the knowledge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
What a concept.
we love we put on webinars, totally free webinars, just because we like geek
Nice.
out about. I mean, Holly and I got to do an educational session at ISA.
Very
We give webinars all the time. You know, introduction to sign engineering for project managers. It's free training for your
Wow.
project
Where
managers.
can we find that?
You just talk to me. We're going to put out a schedule where we're going to be hosting at a set time our curriculum of webinars. But if you have a sign shop or you know anybody, if you want training for your project managers, you can just reach out to me and I'll do a custom one like for you guys. I could just do it for you guys.
Very cool.
You know,
Yeah,
we can
that's
set up,
great.
you know, 30 minutes or an hour, and Holly and I can teach you, and maybe Denzel, maybe Rob teach you about sign engineering. We can customize it to what your shop does.
That's great.
But-
So then sales reps, because they're the front line, could actually go through that and understand how to sell it properly so they don't get themselves in a situation
Right.
where it's sold and then all of a sudden the reverse engineering, right? You have to go in, reverse engineer and go, oh crap, you guys didn't add this and this. So by the time they're done, their margin goes boop, down
Yep.
to nothing. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get a hold of you or to engage you? Is it email or is it?
You can email me at chearin@elrodllc.com. Sharon. Sharon.
Yeah, earlier I put her first name and last name together
Yeah.
and she became Sharon.
Or reach out any of our socials, our website. I mean, we're a small company. I'm going to see anything that comes through. It's going to get to me.
Yeah, but they're very personalized from what I've seen, and that's what's impressive. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
fun.
one last thing: impression of the industry as a whole. As an outsider coming in, was it like, what is going on, or was it like, ooh, I found my people?
I found my people.
Did you?
You know, I mean, I said architecture background, you know, then come from a group of engineers, dabbled in the sign industry for a couple of years. So I've been familiar to it, but to come into a space like this, like people here are cartoon characters because, well, okay,
Yes,
sign
we
people are wild. And then the business development, the salespeople that they send out are the craziest of their group anyway,
Yes,
right?
we are.
Like they're not going to send the quiet people.
No,
And so,
that's no fun.
this is such a fun crowd,
It
and
is.
I pry it from my cold dead hands.
Right.
I'm never leaving.
Well, yeah, be smarter than me. I left 3 times. Again, the mafia brought me back all 3 times, recycled me, and I'm very grateful.
Like, no.
And if anyone wants to blame someone, and if you're watching, Larry, it's all your fault. Okay?
It's all your fault, Larry.
Yeah. So Larry Market brought me back to help start an LED division at Glance back in the day, and we had a blast, and we helped a lot of people, and it was a great time of my life, and he was probably the best boss I've ever had, hands down. But he brought me back, and I caught the fever all over again, and I went, all right, I'm not leaving. This is it. I'm going to figure out a way to stay.
Yeah.
And then things happened.
Yeah.
And here I am, right? And that's the beauty of this industry. Once you are able to illustrate value to others, they will recycle you because they don't want you to leave. It takes a while to understand all the nuances, all the little pieces and parts to the sign industry and how it works, and an appreciation for all the characters like us, right? I'm including you. You just got sucked in. I'm just including you now. You're one of the characters.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Happy to be a character here. I mean, I never thought that I could love work so much, but we have fun.
That's cool.
I mean, and putting up a sign. For your customer, they're a business owner. It's like one of the greatest, exciting, like milestones in pulling their business together, and we get to help with that. How lovely.
So has it happened yet where you get that call or that email or an invitation in the mail that says, my son's getting married, or they're being dedicated, or baptism? Because that's where it goes. That's the beauty of this industry.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's coming. Trust me.
But
it will happen.
Yeah.
You are at a big risk of being invited to her college graduation at this point, which is my daughter behind the camera.
Well, I live in town, so
yeah, there you go. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, and thank you. Also, I have to say this: thank you for being a positive influence on Lydia. She's exploring the industry. She's helping me with my communications right now and all of my e-marketing and all that. And I really appreciate that because
she's a great kid.
Yeah, she is. She's pretty amazing. I'm a little biased, but she takes after mom. Thank God.
And there's a big family business.
Yeah.
Culture in the sign industry. It's interesting to see. Like, there's a lot of people's daughters that are coming into this. You're not the only one. And Holly and I were talking about it last night. Like, we're excited to build relationships with you girls. So whenever you're ready to come back to the sign industry
after college,
you've got community with us, and
that's cool.
It's important.
Well, thank you.
It's
for
important.
That. That's really
doesn't
cool.
need to just be a boys' club.
That's right. It doesn't. You know what? We needed the diversity because it really helps bring a vantage point that our industry lacked for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the evolution that we're seeing right now is because we're seeing some diversity. We're seeing, everything from gender to, different ethnicities coming in, and they're going, oh, what about this? What about that? Have you looked at it through this lens? Yeah. And that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes you go, oh, okay, wait a minute. It's not stagnant anymore.
Right.
Now we have something new to talk about.
Right.
Like with all the things, all the combinations going on right now, right? So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It really is. I love this industry. I will die in this industry.
Me too.
They're going to have to kick me out. I know there's a few that want to. Sorry. But they're probably going to have to kick me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it for now. I think we got some major feedback from.
Not us.
Hang on a minute. There we go. It faded out. So someone put in an EMP system in that's probably going to knock all of the electric out in a minute. So we're under a terrorist attack. No, I'm kidding. So sorry for that piercing. We'll try to edit that out, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. Thanks for another. Oh, there it is again. What is that? That is fascinating. So, you know what I think it is? This is what happens when a bunch of salespeople get in one room in the sign industry. They suck all the air out.
Yeah.
And then it just elevates the piercing of the noise.
Science.
But all joking aside, thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you on the next Behind a Sign.